Breaking news, Jillian's law is now heading to the governor's desk hours after the House approved it. Today, the State House passed that bill named after Jillian Ludwig. The Belmont freshman was shot and killed by a stray bullet last November. It's named after her. Once again, she was shot and killed by that stray bullet last November. The bill would require people who are committed to stay until they're either found competent or until a court approves an outpatient treatment plan. It also keeps these people from having guns. We caught up with Jillian's parents afterwards. They watched representatives vote on the measure along with several Belmont students.
We've had a lot of support all the way through, and the Belmont kids and the other families that we've met through Belmont have been supporting us the whole way.
Of course, my heart is broken. It will be forever, but I'm happy that Jillian's legacy with her name attached to this bill will help save lives.
No word yet on when Governor Lee will sign this bill.
Of course, we'll be following it.